So what's good, YouTube? So you probably read the title and the description of this video, so I'm gonna get right to the point. So I'm pretty sure plenty of people have heard about the eviction crisis that's going on right now. You probably heard, according to certain sources, apparently the moratorium for the CDC eviction ended yesterday, July 31st of 2021, and you have over 3 million Americans that are facing eviction right now due to the fact that they haven't been able to pay rent for an entire year during this pandemic. And I mean, there's all kinds of factors that you can blame on this situation. Yeah, of course, the pandemic has made it really difficult, understandably, for people to make do. And obviously, you have landlords now that are extremely frustrated with the whole situation because they have tenants who haven't paid anything in a year, and it's really problematic of what's just going on here. And you know, it's probably people who are looking for what to do, who to blame, and but I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important right now for us to just start having a conversation about self-reliance and the importance of self-reliance. I mean, in these times, in these hard times, a lot of people look to the government and politicians to do what they got to do and help out and help their constituents. You look to politicians, to do what they got to do and do their jobs and fix the problem with what's going on with the people that represent them, the people who voted for them and put them there in office. I mean, their total job is to help their constituents and better represent their constituents and do what the people voted them for, do what they're supposed to do, what they were voted in for. But I think it's important for people to just remember and understand that they need to stop caring about what these politicians, what the government is doing. I mean, yes, you can vote and you can do whatever you can, and hope that the people that you vote for represent you the right way. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to your own self-reliance. Right now, you have millions of people who are facing eviction right now, and you can sit here and point the finger at the problem, point your finger at at all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, if you're an individual, if you're an adult, at the end of the day, you gotta be an adult, and you gotta depend on yourself. Because I'm gonna see what the government does. I'm gonna see what the White House is gonna do. It's not gonna work at the end of the day. At the end of the day, people gotta start relying on themselves and making decisions that are gonna help themselves and their families. Like I said, there's a lot of mistakes that have been made on all kinds of hours with this whole situation. But sitting around and depending on the government and politicians to bail you out in certain situations is just not the answer. Like I said, right now you got a lot of people that are in a situation where they're like I said, they're facing eviction and they're facing getting kicked out and they don't know what they're gonna do. But when you had a whole year to figure it out, you gotta work. I mean, like I said, you gotta find a way to work it out and figure it out. That's just really the simple plan. I mean, like I said, I understand that I said hard times, but even in hard times, you gotta be smart. You got to be smart. Like people got to be smarter. Like I said, I understand, but it's been a year. It's been an entire year that people had a chance to figure it out, and I know that through this whole year, people were getting unemployment checks and they were getting stimulus checks. And to me, I don't understand how none of that was used. I don't understand why an individual didn't use any of that money to save up. If you knew you had to pay rent, the one thing you don't want to do is sit around and just ignore that bill and pretend like it's not there just because the government furloughed it off for a year. It's the same thing with the whole student loans thing. You got people out here who didn't pay any student loans, just completely ignored that, what they had to pay towards their student loans just because, the president, he pulled it off until September. So you got a whole lot of people who just forgot about it, didn't bother putting any money to it or anything like that. I mean, when it comes to tough times, tough times, you got to be smarter. In good times and in bad times, people have got to be smarter financially. They can't just be irresponsible. I mean, times like this, you definitely can't be irresponsible. You definitely can't be putting off things and ignoring the problem, but it's gonna come back. Like I said, you got a lot of people out here who just ignored the rent altogether. They just ignored the rent altogether because they didn't have to pay it at the time. Because, like I said, the government helped them out. Like I said, can't be relying on the government. Can't be relying on politicians. Gotta rely on yourself. Gotta make smarter decisions. I mean, there's a lot of things that people could have done to better put themselves in a better situation. I said, you knew you owed rent. You could have put a little money towards it. Negotiated with your landlord. You did something. But you had people out here who literally haven't paid rent for an entire year, and their landlords are furious. I said the landlords, they got bills too. They got expenses too. And I mean, if you didn't try make any type of effort to make a negotiation with your landlord, you didn't try to put any money forward, just a little bit, just to show your landlord that you're trying to, try to work with them just a little bit. I mean, you didn't do that. I don't know what to tell you. You get evicted, you just get evicted. And I really don't feel sorry for anybody who's in this situation because, like I said, when you were collecting unemployment checks and stimulus checks for an entire year, and you just ignored your bill, you ignored your rent, you ignored your student loans, you ignored all that stuff because the government pushed it back. They gave you a bit of leeway. You really shouldn't try to take advantage of that stuff. You really shouldn't try to take advantage of the system. You should be responsible and take care of your business and handle your money and your finances in the right way. But as we can see, in 2020, 2021, you had a lot of people who didn't do that, who were not responsible and weren't putting their money where they need to put it. And now they're in a situation where now they're stuck relying on the government, and they just want to continue to rely on the government, and that's never a good answer. Just sitting around here relying on the government. You got a lot of people wondering, what's the next step, and what are we going to do now? And everybody wants to look at, the president and the politicians to fix the situation, but there's a lot of things that individual people could do, that individuals could have done to fix their own situation. And people gotta learn self-reliance. Like I said, you can't get mad at the government, the president, for your own mistakes and your own issues. If you get put out your house and you're homeless on the streets, I mean, you gotta look at what you didn't do. Because, like I said, it's not always about what you did do; it's about what you didn't do to better your situation. A lot of people need to figure that out. A lot of people need to grow up and just have some responsibility and stop asking for the government to babysit them and parent them, because that's just not it, man. It's not the right way to go about things. And when you had a whole year to figure it out, there's just not a lot of leeway with the situation. So, I mean, that's just how I feel about the situation. I mean, people can have their own opinions about it, but like I said, self-reliance is always the most important thing. in these type of situations. In any type of situation, so people gotta understand self-reliance is important. You gotta if you want your situation to improve, you gotta want to be willing to fix it yourself. You need to rely on yourself, not the government, not politicians. I mean, voting is important, but what's more important is getting the job done yourself and relying on self only. So I mean, that's my spill, man. I mean, I don't really know what else to tell. And like I said, with this whole eviction crisis going on, I mean, if people get evicted, I mean, it's their own actions, their lack of doing what they had to do and taking care of business put them in that situation. I mean, you can't just keep relying on the government. And I mean, that's about it, man. I mean, you look at the statistics. You have a lot of just minorities that are struggling to pay rent right now. There's also a lot of the minority landlords that are in more vulnerable positions right now. So I mean, you can call it how it is. You know, you can put it where you want to put it, but at the end of the day, people gotta stop making excuses, and they gotta be more self-reliant and more dependable on themselves. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's not gonna work out well in your favor if you want to just rely on the government, rely on politics to fix your situation. It's never a good answer. So that's my spiel. And I mean, once again, if you have any opinions or your thoughts, just leave them in the comments. You know. All right, y'all have a good day.